Hey, yes. Welcome back to another deep dive. So today, you've handed us a really interesting mix, gotta say.
Yeah,
Cybersecurity, incident response, data classification. How do companies keep up with it all? It's a lot.
it really is, and it's becoming more important than ever, wouldn't you say? I mean, with data breaches and
Constantly.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. We need to dive into this.
Like,
Let's start with that cybersecurity incident response. Imagine you're a digital detective.
okay, I like it.
There's been a suspicious incident. This document, logging a new incident, it's like the handbook.
Right. Rip.
Every detail matters, even if it seems insignificant.
Absolutely. Even something small could be that missing piece of the puzzle, Like,
Yeah.
how'd they even get in?
Exactly. Was it a person that reported it? Or was it like a system alert?
Huge difference. Makes you think about the CIA triad, too, right?
The CIA triad. Okay, now you have to explain that one.
Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It's
Yeah.
like, think of sending a secret message, right? Confidentiality means only your friend can read it, nobody else.
Makes sense?
Integrity means it arrives exactly as you wrote it, no changes along the way.
I got it.
And availability, that just means your friend can actually open and read the message when they're supposed to.
So it's all about making sure that information stays secure and accessible to the right people.
Exactly.
Now, we've got all these digital detectives trying to stay one step ahead of the bad guys.
Yeah.
They've got these frameworks.
Oh, yeah. Love a good framework.
Like the Lockheed Martin kill chain or the MITRE framework.
Essential tools, those are.
Who did those even do?
They help analysts understand the stages of an attack, predict the attacker's next move. It's like a chess game, almost.
Anticipating the opponent's strategy.
Exactly.
So it's not just theoretical. There's a part in this document, it talks about impact assessment. What are the risks here?
It's about understanding the potential damage. How big could this get?
And how do we contain it?
Precisely. Every second counts.
So that brings us to data classification. What is that?
Data classification is basically categorizing data based on its sensitivity.
Okay, so like some data is more sensitive than others. Makes sense.
Right, like sorting your mail. Some stuff is junk. Some needs to be filed away carefully.
And some you want to keep locked in a safe.
Exactly. High risk, sensitive, internal, or public. You're deciding which digital filing cabinet each piece of information belongs in.
So why should we care? I mean, how does this affect me every day?
Let me ask you this. What if there was a data breach involving student records?
Oh, wow, that's a big one.
Right. That information, that falls under FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Without proper classification and security,
That could be devastating.
identity theft, privacy violations, it could impact a student's future.
That's a nightmare scenario for any parent.
Absolutely. And that's just one example.
What about something like my credit card information? That's got to be high security.
That's where PCI DSS comes in, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, if that information isn't handled correctly.
There's your problems.
Major. Financial consequences for everyone involved. And it's not just about protecting the data itself, there's a whole other layer.
Oh, yeah, we can't forget about the compliance part. This is where it gets really complicated.
It's a jungle of regulations out there.
GDPR, IOPA, NIST 853. That's enough to make your head spin. Why so many?
Well, each one focuses on different types of data, different industries. Take GDPR, for example. That's the General Data Protection Regulation.
That's the big one, right? The EU one.
Exactly. Any organization anywhere in the world dealing with data from individuals in the EU.
Wow, so even if a company's in the US, if they have a customer in Europe, they have to follow these rules.
That's the key point. It's all about protecting the data of EU citizens and the penalties for not complying.
Okay, let's talk about those. What are we talking about here?
Huge fines. We're talking lawsuits, damage to your reputation you might never recover.
Okay, so compliance is not optional. But how does an organization even begin to tackle all of this? I mean, it's overwhelming, right?
It can be. Building a good data classification model, it takes a lot of work. And then there's the challenges on top of that.
What kind of challenges are we talking about here?
Well, the regulations are always changing. What works today might be outdated tomorrow.
So it's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly. And then there's the shortage of cybersecurity professionals. It's hard to find people with the right expertise.
So you've got this shortage of skilled people, and the rules are constantly changing. That's a recipe for disaster.
It can be, but there are ways to make it work. Think about scalability. Your system, it needs to grow with you.
Makes sense. You don't want to build something that works today, but then you're stuck tomorrow because it can't handle the amount of data.
Right. And you have to be ready for audits.
Audits, like inspections.
Exactly. Can you prove that your system does what it's supposed to do?
So you need to have the documentation, the labeling, everything organized.
Precisely. It's not enough to just say you're doing it. You have to be able to show it.
That sounds like a lot of effort. A lot of companies might be thinking, why bother?
Well, besides avoiding those massive fines, let's look at a statistic here. Data classification for compliance article. 75% of financial organizations, the ones that classify their data properly, they can detect data misuse in minutes.
Minutes. Okay, that's impressive.
Right? The ones that don't, they need days, sometimes months to figure it out.
So by the time they realize what's happened, it's already too late.
Exactly. The damage is done.
So it's not just about the money, it's about protecting your reputation too.
Absolutely. Customers, they need to know you take their data seriously.
It's about trust, right?
100%. And once that trust is broken, it's really hard to earn it back.
So by investing in data classification,
Yeah.
you're really investing in your relationship with your customers.
Precisely. You're showing them that their information is safe with you.
And that's priceless.
You got it. But here's something else to consider. We've been focusing on organizations, but what about us as individuals?
It's a good question. They can feel like all this data stuff, it's happening to us,
It's easy to feel powerless in this digital age, right? Like we're just along for the ride.
Yeah, and we hand over so much information. Do we even know what we're agreeing to half the time?
Right. All those agree to cookies pop-ups. Do you ever read those?
Never. I just click through as fast as possible.
We all do it. But we should be more aware.
Aware of what, exactly?
What are we trading away for a little bit of convenience? Our privacy, our security.
That's a good point. So what can we do besides actually reading those cookie pop-ups?
It starts with education, understanding privacy policies, cookie settings, being more conscious of the choices we make online.
So like reading the fine print.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's not just a product, it's our digital lives. And beyond that, we need to be advocating for stronger data protection laws.
Laws that give individuals more control, hold companies accountable,
Absolutely. Our data, it has value. We need to start treating it that way.
demand that it be protected.
Exactly. It's about shaping a digital future where our privacy is respected.
I love that. This has been an amazing deep dive, I gotta say.
It really has. We covered a lot of ground today.
We did. We talked about cybersecurity, incident response, data classification. We even talk about what it all means for us as individuals. What a journey.
It really makes you think.
It really does. And like we've been saying, knowledge is power. The more we understand about our data, the better decisions we can make.
So true.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.